What's up, everyone? This is Aisha, and I'm your host of the Arc Spotlight podcast. Today, I have a special guest on the show. His name is AJ. He's one of my good friends. He's also fam. I met him from doing the Sincerely For You Jacquees tour a couple years back. And AJ, why don't you tell him a little bit about your journey?
What's good, everybody? It's your boy AJ Causey, writing from Alexandria, Louisiana. It's good to be here with my fam, Aisha Collins, from the Arc Spotlight. Didn't even know that that's her initials. If y'all know her middle name, tuck it. I went off as a songwriter artist, and then I went to 1500 Sound Academy. And so everything kind of like flowed from being there, learning more about artist branding as well as the business management from around the music industry. So linking with a good friend that was in class, that was already doing tours and everything, she kind of taught me the ropes. That's how I ended up landing the tour with Nick LaVelle and with Jacquees.
Let's take it back to the beginning. So what got you into music and wanting to be an artist and a songwriter before you became a tour manager for the Jacquees tour?
Got you. So way back to the beginning, it was Usher, the You Remind Me video. When he get out the car and he opened up that door in the rain and everything, like that was like what made me fall in love with music. I didn't start writing music probably till I was like 13. And just, neighborhood stuff with the friends and after school and whatnot. So it was me, June, and Ree, my two best friends growing up in the neighborhood. So we just started doing music. My high school actually gave us laptops. So that's how we ended up starting to record our own music and learning about, like the technical side of creating music. So that's like the start of it all before going off to college, continuing on and going off to LA.
Now, I know back in the early 2000s, technology wasn't as big as it is now. How were you able to produce music and get it out there? Were you using like platforms like SoundCloud and, Livewire, stuff like that?
Started off with GarageBand. And then from GarageBand, I got into Logic, used Audacity for a quick minute. Believe it or not, I never used FL Studio for real. Like, I probably recorded on somebody else's FL, but I never purchased it and had it for myself. More so, I stayed with Logic and then got into Pro Tools. And then that's home base for everybody once they go through all those other ones. So.
And do you still have access to all your old music that you made back then?
Oh yeah, I'm a hoarder for sure. I got every song I ever recorded, minus 2 songs.
What would you say is one of your biggest songs that you made that kind of went viral?
It was a song I did called New Designer. My music is more so I guess easier references to use would be J. Cole, Kendrick, Joyner Lucas. But I had a song called New Designer that was more of a radio hit type of song. So the video I shot on Rodeo and everything. So it was cool. That was probably my most viewed song, YouTube and listens wise. So.
And was this in Louisiana? Or?
No, this was in LA. I ain't really branch out. High school, college was more so just all my practice years. And then when I was really taking it serious, hitting the ground running and everything, it was when I first got out to LA, right during the pandemic. So.
Okay, and what college did you go to?
So I went to LSU. I graduated from LSU, crossed LSU in Shreveport before finishing up at LSU. So Top Beta, you already know what it is.
And would you say at LSU, did they have a good music program for you to work out of?
Yeah, for the most part, I think really and truly when I see other people, I think it was a story about Megan Thee Stallion and Sweetie. I don't think I took as much of an advantage in college. Like I said, I didn't really lock in and hone in until I was all the way across the country, away from college friends or away from a base of people in the audience right there. People knew I did music on campus, but it wasn't I was doing crazy shows and all of that. I probably performed once a quarter.
What would you say is some advice that you had to go by in order to land your first big opportunity in the music industry?
Learn your craft. That's the biggest thing. I think it's just a lot of people, music industry, modeling, all of it is just so saturated because social media. Everybody's doing it, so everybody that's consuming it feels like they need to be doing it too. So therefore, they get into it, and it's nothing about it. Your heart ain't even in it. It's just It's 1,000 of us in here, and only 2 of us really care about it. So it's just learn your craft. It's so many other things that you can do outside of music. Or, everybody goes in just to be an artist and think that they have to be an artist, and don't even realize that it's 20 people that's behind each artist. and think about how many artists are out there in the world between all the genres.
So what would you say would help like an artist who's talented make them stand out more than just using their talent to get noticed?
Get you a good team. That's what really matters, because talent don't pay the bills. Like, the team that you have around you really makes the difference between who breaks first and who breaks in the long run between you and the other artists.
And speaking of teams, how did you land your first opportunity and like working on the Jacquees Sincerely For You tour? How did that work?
Like, how did the tour go?
Yeah.
The tour was cool. That team, it was my first tour, so I've already been, living in LA, you meet 50 people a day. So, like, meeting so many people, I knew how to deal with the different personalities. So, like, and I'm a cool guy. Like, I don't really be having too many problems. But, like, I kind of fell into being, like, the glue, because it's just not everybody can deal with everybody's personalities and whatnot. So, it was a lot of things up and down on that tour. But it was definitely a great experience nonetheless, because, it's all kumbaya at the end of the day. This was something that we were all passionate about. This is something that we were able to go through together and accomplish.
And speaking of that tour, I was on the tour as one of the photographers. I covered most of the Texas dates for the audience that don't know. And I want to know, like, as far as it being mainly male dominated, how did that work? I know y'all were traveling from city to city and you were like basically not flying to city. So how did that work as far as like resting, mental health? And
man, it was no sleep. That tour was like 3 months long. And it wasn't even supposed to be 3 months long. I think just we moved some dates around just because it made more sense for the travel time in between. It was not much rest. That was my first time really traveling. I haven't really been a traveler in the past before then. So, like, getting to a city, checking in the hotel, getting a little bit of rest, waking up the next morning, having to prepare for the show, doing the show, getting something to eat, going back to sleep, waking up the next morning, packing the van up, traveling to the next city. It was definitely a lot. But, like, just like anything else, it takes 30 days to build a habit. So you think about the second month that we was on the tour, we all locked in on it.
And what would you say was one of the biggest challenges working with people you never worked with before?
It was really just a matter of everybody opening up and allowing for the rest of the team to kind of know who they are. Like, my biggest thing that I learned with that when it came to dealing with different people is no matter what, we can all pretend if I see you once a week or if I see you once a month, once a year, but I see you every day, you can't hide who you really are. And so, that was the biggest thing, is we had to understand who each other were and realize, like, this is who I am, this is who you are. We got to make this work, because it's day 6. Like, we still got another 30, 40 days together. So, yeah.
So how did you meet Nick Lavelle? Because I know Nick was the one who put together the whole tour and brought Jacquees on as the headliner. But how did you meet him?
We have a mutual friend named Tula. Tula was already working with Nick on a prior tour. And so that's just how that came about. She went to 1500 with me. So that's how I ended up getting the introduction to Nick.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And are you looking forward to working with some more tours with Nick in the future?
Oh, yeah. Nah, for sure. We didn't put on the tour, but we had definitely worked to be on Trevor Jackson's tour earlier last year. So that went pretty good, and I think we got some more things in the works as well. Each year, we'll work on True Colors Music and Taste Fest. That's Nick Lavelle's own thing that he hosts down in Atlanta. So that's always a good time, too.
Okay, and being an artist and songwriter yourself, how did that help you become a good tour manager?
The biggest advice that I got before even going on that tour, going into management in general, was someone let me know, like, the best managers were artists themselves or are artists themselves, because you understand on the artist's point of view when it comes to things. So it's easier for you to fight for that artist, because you're thinking about how would you handle this situation when you're dealing with venues, when you're dealing with promoters, you're dealing with other artists, managers, and whatnot. It's hard to kind of imagine something that you aren't. If you know exactly how the artist would be feeling if you said no to this deal or if you said yes to this deal, it's easier for you to connect with it.
So from that tour, what would you say is the craziest moment you had?
Probably had to be Houston.
Oh, yeah, Houston was crazy.
Good old Houston, man. Houston was crazy. Because, like, yeah, it was just so much going on. Everybody want to be a star. That was probably, like, the show that I enjoyed the least. Because, like, everybody wants to be a star. And I get that. But it's like, just at least still show some kind of respect. show some kind of value to what we doing. It's not like we doing a one-off in this city. Like, we going on a nationwide tour. You know, if we mess up in this city, the next city gonna hear about it. The next 5 cities gonna hear about what just happened. They can easily pull the plug, or they can be like, nah, we don't want y'all to come, or they gonna double down on security to make sure. So, yeah, like that probably was just, that was the craziest part. Now, one thing I will say about cities that I did love or shows that I did enjoy, Denver is officially like a R&B like hotspot. Never knew that before then. So Denver and Seattle surprised me, because like I never wanted to go to Seattle, but like that show, they showed much love. Denver showed much love. Pittsburgh as well. So yeah.
And how was it working with Jacquees? Was this your first time working with him?
Yeah, this is my first time working with Quee. Nice guy for sure. Like, never had any kind of issues. I was a new face, so in the beginning it was like, man, who this dude is? But like as the tour went on, and I'm looking out for both Nick's team as well as his team, and him and his managers and everything. Like, it grows. Like, I think no matter what, as we go through our journeys and whatnot, it can kind of get fuzzy on what's people's motives and whatnot. But like I said, I wouldn't have been able to pretend like I was being helpful for 90 days straight. So I think that was another thing that helped. You seeing me at the hotels, you seeing me in each city, you seeing me at the dinner spots, and you seeing how I'm catering to the whole team in any kind of way. Okay, that's who you are. I like you, bro. And that's what it came down to by the end of the tour. So,
yeah. I know that was my first time meeting Jacquees too, like on that tour. And I know he was doing so much to prepare himself for each show. And, I know y'all work together as far as even working out who's catering for the food and stuff.
Nah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. We had so many chefs from city to city. Like, literally, when I go through my phone and I type in chef, like, it's literally like 40 chefs that'll pop up, and I'll be like, man, I'm gonna remember that for the next time I go to their city. Man, you got a meal for me? Let me get a hot plate.
So who would be a celebrity you would love to work with on the tour?
Man, I'm a big fan of Destin Conrad. I ain't gonna stunt. Like, Destin Conrad, he steady on the rise. I think he just got his first Grammy nomination. I like to work with him. I always wanted to work with Usher, because, that's who really got me into liking music in the first place. He got his young star Jadon that's coming up. It'd be cool to work with his protege, so to say. And a rap artist that I would like to work with, I'd like to do like a black tour. That'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so for somebody new just wanting to be a tour manager, what steps would you tell them to get to where they need to be in order to get noticed to be someone's tour manager?
Man, it don't just happen. That's one thing. And then you realize that tour manager, executive assistant, you are a servant nonetheless, and you are responsible for the entire team. So like, Nick put the tour together. I'm responsible for Nick's team, but Jacquees is the headliner. So I'm responsible for his team too, the whole overall thing. And that's day in, day out. How y'all getting there, when y'all gonna get there. Y'all did y'all sound check, and then you got these little acts that are doing, these are supporting acts each city that are preparing as well. So it's just, if you got an ego, drop it. If you got pride, drop it, because like, that's what you are. You're not a peasant, you're a servant. You're here to provide a service that can make the tour go easier, each show go easier, the artists making sure that they're on point, so that way they can give a good show. It's all about, putting on a good show in each city, and, giving a good time for the fans.
So what's in your future goals coming up?
I almost finished with a project, a EP that I've been working on, and they'll be releasing in the first quarter of 26. So I'm interested to see like how well I do with making this transition back into, my own artistry. So.
And speaking of transition, I know you just moved here from LA, and you didn't really know too many people out in Dallas. How was that move for you?
The move was good, actually, because I'm from Louisiana. Like, all my college friends are here. My sister's here, so it feels kind of more like home. Of course, I'm missing LA and everything like that, but I honestly feel like Dallas is the next city up. So that's what I'm excited to be a part of the curve that's developing here, rather than, going to LA, going to Atlanta, going to New York, where the curve has been developed and already washed over 2 times, So I'm definitely excited for it. They just need to build things closer. That's my personal issue.
Oh yeah, it's not close like in LA.
Yeah, it's not close at all, man. You want to go to Walmart? Yeah, where it's at? 49 miles down the highway. 49 miles. So yeah,
Hey, at least our traffic ain't as bad, right?
man, it's still far. So
What is some adversity that you faced that helped you become disciplined in your creative or your personal life?
definitely like the most challenges, or some of my first challenges, into adulthood was going through college, crossing the fraternity, the things that you go through with your brothers, just like you go through on a tour, traveling for days with one another. It creates that bond for, like, it's not just about you anymore. It's not just about what you got going on mentally, physically. You got your brothers with you. For you, you got your sisters online with you and everything. And I think it kind of just creates that mental habit of just showing up not only for yourself, but for the people that you like, you really doing it for. Just like in music, the artist is trying to save themselves. And then when it gets to a point where, shoot, now that you done saved yourself, it's time for you to save the fans. So in regards to the things that I learned going through my process with the fraternity, and I think these are things that you can relate on as well, being with your sisters and whatnot, it's just discipline comes with the hard hit.
For my sorority, we had a lot of conferences that we went to help build our character and get us used to working in team and building time management skills. What kind of skills did you learn in your conferences or meetings that y'all had?
For the most part, being more efficient in your note taking, even not just physical notes, but like your mental notes, kind of like keeping, well, I guess what's the saying, keeping an ear open to all things that's around you. Even if, you're indulging in this conversation here, there's a great conversation that's going on there. So it's not like you disregarding what this person's saying, but, multitasking with it, picking up on something, because then that could be a connection that you really need to make. So, and that's one thing that I was able to bring out to LA with me, bring on a tour, et cetera.
And were you able to like connect with anybody from your frat on the tour, like in different venues and stuff like that?
I don't really recall meeting more frat. I know that was one thing that at least brought me and Slick together, which is Nick's DJ on the tour. He's a Sigma. Nick's an hour older. So it was kind of like the whole fam was there, like 2 Lives of Delta, I believe. So yeah, I think it was just, it kind of just brought the whole circle back together. Even though we not a part of the same fraternities and sororities and whatnot, we still looking out for each other as we go through this journey.
I definitely had to agree with, I totally forgot that I met Nick because he was an IOTA. I think he was at Atlanta Greek Picnic a few years back. So, I met him there before. And then, of course, I connected with him on IG because his posts were going viral. And, and I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I want to work with you. I see we're both Greek. And, we started talking about Greek life and everything. And from there, we just became friends, and he brought me on the Jacquees tour. I met your mom at the Houston show when I showed up there for the tour. How did your mom feel about you going on the tour?
She was very much against it. But then by the time we did the Houston show, we was already halfway through the tour. And so she saw that I was in good spirits and everything. Like, I was pissed about what happened that night, but she saw that I was in good spirits and everything. That's the son that I recognize, That's her saying. It's a 6-track titled Shit Just Wasn't Going As Planned. This project coming out in 26 will officially be about 3 years since I released music. So it's kind of just giving background on the things that I was going through between, relationships. It's LA, everybody go homeless. So going homeless, in the past, I've had more or so sort of less kind of like a drinking problem. So like I talk about that more so to relate with people that have, maybe their own choice of other addictions and whatnot like that. Talking about the roller coaster of like things going good. My biggest saying that I always say is with every good that there's a bad. So, you get the tour, that goes good. But then it's hard to find a job afterwards and whatnot. You've been gone for 3 months from the city. So it's just talking about all the struggles that I was dealing with in this time of absence between the last project that I released and the project that's coming up. My socials are going to be at CAU5EY. So just at Causey, but the S is a 5.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the ARC Spotlight. If you enjoy hearing about conversations about tour management, artists, make sure you go subscribe and hit the follow and the like button below to the ARC Spotlight podcast, and also subscribe to Creative Arc Media on all social platforms.